Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of ngrok Office Hours. Today I am joined by Joel, who's the head of developer relations here at ngrok, and I'm Aishika, your friendly neighborhood community manager, and we are super excited to introduce you to all things AI with ngrok this time. Over to you, Joel.
Yeah. Thanks for the intro. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, we've 14. This is number 14, if I can count correctly. So very excited to continue this and yeah, as I should have said, like start talking about AI gateway stuff, which I know a lot of folks are very hyped to learn more about. We're going to be joined by Niji, who is our product manager on the AI gateway product, and he's gonna be able to dig into like what it is, what it looks like right now. Maybe we'll talk about what AI, like the early access, looks like coming up in the coming weeks and months, and then we'll have plenty of opportunities to have him answer questions that you might have and dig into it a little bit. So for the folks in the chat, maybe let us know. I don't know, like the standard question is always like, where are you from? Like that's awesome. Or like, what are you like? I don't know if you had like, what are you building with AI? What are you curious about? It would be a very cool way to kind of start the conversation, if you all have some use cases or problems or things that you're trying to do that maybe ngrok can help with. Um, while we kind of get ramped up here and wait for Niji to join, he's coming from like another meeting as usual. He's a very busy guy lately.
Busy
Um,
man.
Aishika, do you want to like let's talk about some of the stuff that's coming up that's like adjacent to AI Gateway or kind of like happening in parallel? We've got KubeCon, we've got other events. What's on your radar?
So we just wrapped up our fourth meetup at the HQ yesterday, and it was one of the best meetups that we have hosted till date. So really excited to introduce our next set of events that you can take a look at on luma.com/ngrok. I can drop the link in the chat real quick. So if you're based around San Francisco, please do hop by, come say hi. We also have a lot of ngrok merch that we have started giving away at our meetups. And speaking of merch, we'll actually have an entirely new uh, set of merch at KubeCon North America. We are going to be at booth 1341. Announcements are going to go out really soon. We'll host a bunch of giveaways as well. Yay, Keychron keyboards. I think you have a Keychron too.
I
So
do.
we'll be talking about all things Kubernetes operator and more at KubeCon. So come stop by our booth. We are also planning on hosting a bunch of events around the US. So please do hop in. I see a lot of people in the chat already. So super excited. Thanks a ton for joining in. To be very honest, if I started off this office hours and if I had to ask a question, I'd probably um, ask something on the lines of, what's your favorite traffic policy action? And we have Niji here.
We have a
uh,
Niji. I can see his video in on the stage, but not there we go. Welcome,
Niji.
Niji.
Hello, everyone.
We were just kind of vamping about community stuff, KubeCon coming up, all these little things. But we kind of, we've been teasing like Niji's coming, Niji's going to talk AI Gateway, and we've already got some questions rolling in. So, do you want to start with just like an intro as to who you are around ngrok, and then we can let you dig in, we can chat, we can answer some questions, however you want to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm Niji. I'm product manager here working on the AI Gateway. We have a website, ngrok.ai, which you can go and look at to learn a bit about it. But I think today we're going to actually show you some stuff. Yeah, effectively, AI is a growing need for a lot of companies. A lot of companies are adopting AI, and as they adopt AI and they start, implementing features, utilizing AI and communicating with different providers who author models, such as like OpenAI. They're a provider, but they're also an author. you'll tend to end up encountering certain technical difficulties, like having to rotate the API keys or having to communicate to different models, especially if you're like some of these agentic coding tools where you can switch the model inside the tool depending on like the task that you're doing. And so a lot of these companies, and ourselves included, we end up having to implement the same features throughout the life cycle and journey. And so that's kind of like what prompted us to start working on this AI gateway. It's very similar to API gateway. They share an overlap. AI uses APIs. And so it's just kind of pushing the API landscape forward in that way, but they all have some unique differences, right? Like the format is kind of unified or standardized in a slight way. They're like, 2 or 3 competing different formats, but like most people use open AIs with some slight variations here and there. And those slight variations can cause problems, especially if you're switching between things. And so like an AI gateway can help unify those even further and make it easier for you to transition between one model or another. Or, if you're on a provider like OpenAI and you want to, they're having stability issues today, which happens, we all do. You can fail over to something like Azure. So like you can still get the connectivity for your customers without having to degrade your service while theirs is going through some issues. So yeah.
Very cool. I love the point that like the way that developers use AI is also through APIs. Like I think that is and the fact that like ngrok is pretty good at dealing with APIs right now. Like we have a production grade API gateway, even if you're not using that right now. Like the things that we have built for that, being basically like endpoints and traffic policy as like the two pillars. All of those things are like can be just as relevant to how you deal with AI APIs. But like I think what's cool about what you're building, and I know you'll dig in and show some of this off, is that like a lot of this stuff you could probably build already with what ngrok already offers. But it's like ngrok is really like I think one of the things we're good at is like building those abstractions, like simplifying the layer that you have to interact with as to be as little as possible, so that like it can be as simple as a couple lines of YAML, or you can like dig in and customize every little knob to your heart's content. And I'm super excited to see when all that gets available in people's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think at ngrok, one of our core kind of tenets as we build things is to have that like that magic feeling, that like easy use feeling. So um, I think we really try to hone in on that, especially with the AI gateway. Like one of our guiding principles is it should feel almost transparent or easy to adopt. Like many people who are coming into this industry now maybe previously didn't have engineering or networking experience, right? And so like we want to give them that magic feeling of, oh, it just works out of the box. And so I think as we go through the demo, you'll kind of see like the configuration is almost minimal to start, but the opportunities and the foundational pieces we have with ngrok's traffic policy already kind of give those building blocks to make it like almost endless possibilities and endless power through the flexibility of what we were building.
Cool. Well, we've got people, we've got people in the chat clamoring to just see the thing already. I think the AI gateway hype is, it's a different level than anything else that we've experienced. Like, yeah, like AI gateway is such a new thing, but the hype is already so strong. So if you want to just jump in, if you feel like you're ready to show some of the pieces off, we'll get in and then we can answer questions and have more chat about it after the fact.
Yeah, just give me a second here to set things up.
Yeah.
And then we can definitely jump in.
Yeah. If people in the chat, like as like as Niji demos, as like anything questions, fire them off. Aishika is hanging out in the background, kind of collating all of the questions, and we'll try to get back to stuff after the fact, so that you can make sure that like is the thing that Niji is building here, along with all the other ngrokers, like fit with my use case. we'll try to make sure that we're squared away, and then we'll talk other things like early access and design partners and everything like that. But yeah, feel free to let us know what you're thinking. And we've got people coming in from all over the place, which is cool. Like AI is a universally desired thing. So we've got people from Istanbul, from Minnesota. Very, very cool to see.
That's really nice. I like the diversity that we have here.
Yeah, I feel like the office hours is like Aishika runs these events in our San Francisco office, and you know the AI kind of startup bubble is super strong in the Bay Area, but it's nice to be reminded every now and then that like this is not just a San Francisco thing. It's going off, it's popping off everywhere. Montana, lovely.
All right. Let's see here. I'm still getting set up. I have to like go through a lot of login menus first, just
Of
to kind of like
course,
get things in a
many
place. But
Aksas and
yeah, it seems to be the thing that always gets you
they
during
always like
demo day.
the I don't know, the stuff expires right before you want to do something with it, and you have to go back and do it all again. I mean, it's the demo gods are
Exactly.
always against you when you try to do something in front of people.
I'm also
Speaking of
trying.
demigods, sorry for
I'm,
cutting you off. Go ahead.
oh no, sorry. I'm also trying not to expose the API key.
This is important.
So just so everybody's aware of what's going on. I'm trying to set it up so that way I don't do that. Okay, let's see here. I think I have a few pre-baked things.
In the meantime, as I was saying, speaking of demigods, we ran a bunch of different things at our meetup yesterday. And every single time I introduced a new thing, people were like, oh, ngrok does that. Oh, ngrok does that. And then I introduced the AI gateway, and people were like, whoa, when does this come out? And I see that all over the chat. I love the enthusiasm so much. I love seeing people coming in from so many different places. And someone mentioned, I'm thinking about visiting SF next summer, I hope. Well, if you're around, I'd love to give you a tour of the ngrok HQ, and I'd love to host you at a local host. So keep the questions coming. I'm going to be around. I'll answer any questions that I can. But at the end, we'll definitely hold space for a lot of Q&A because I see a lot of questions coming in already, and I expect them to only increase moving forward.
And in the meantime, we've got you know, like things on the like ngrok shipping new features, new products. It's been a little quiet lately because we just had our offsite. Like we all got together in Philly and hung out for a week, and that always derails our best laid plans of delivering products and having like new things to announce. But we do have a lot. Like there has been a lot kind of going on behind the scenes. We've got like a bunch of new stuff on the blog about building AI agents. Like I wrote something with Vigil that helped me like run evaluations on my like I vibe coded an agent to try to summarize GitHub or like Git commits and PRs into like marketing speak. So then using Vigil to try to like battle test it and make sure it doesn't go off the rails. So yeah, like tons of cool stuff that we're working on, like lots more coming AI centric, as a lot of us around ngrok are also like doing our first serious foray into like how do we build with these things? What is the like ngrok stack of AI tools that we want to build on internally, and what are some lessons that we're learning as we're trying to figure all this stuff out? It's a very interesting space, and like the non-deterministic part of it means we have to approach it differently than a lot of the other development work that we're used to in the past.
Okay, I had to switch environments, so sorry about all this. We are testing live, so we're using a development environment. So give me a second.
Yeah, and all of this comes with the like multi-layered caveat of like this is a development environment with like an ngrok development environment. This isn't even v0. All of this is like subject to change and improve, but we really want to like just let you all know kind of how it's going to work. So like yeah,
All the stuff
it's
that we are cooking.
yeah.
Sneak peek, if you may.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I think what I can do here is I'll go ahead and see if I can share my screen.
The
It might
tension
ask me
for
to
this
rejoin, so
the
just a heads
tension
up.
for the screen share is rising.
I know.
In the meantime, I can probably pull some of my slides up because I was prepared for something like this. So, over the last office hour session, we talked about all things traffic policy, and I introduced you folks to a bunch of different traffic policies. We have the anatomy of a traffic policy file for those of you who are new here, and a lot of AI gateway stuff goes through traffic policy, and we'll also be talking about why traffic policy helps you build better AI apps later on in this session. But here's what the anatomy of a traffic policy file looks like. All you need to do is add an entry point, a hook point. So if, say, for example, you want to kick off an action when every single time your endpoint is hit, you just start off by using on HTTP request, and then you define the action, you add all the config, all the things that you want to do. Here in this example, we have got a custom response traffic policy file. So every single time the status code 503 is detected, the content that is mentioned in the body will be served. So that is basically how a traffic policy file is built. All you need to do to attach a traffic policy file is really easy. You don't even have to touch your code base at all. All you need to do is add the traffic policy file flag, followed by the name of your traffic policy file. Again, it can be anywhere. You just have to um, add the path to the traffic policy file, and you're all set. Again, I just talked about the custom response traffic policy action, but what else can you do with traffic policy? So here's a massive bunch of different traffic policy actions, a non-exhaustive list, actually. You can also add custom headers. You can perform basic authentication, add a username password combination, any username password combinations, to be honest. We just talked about adding custom responses. You can also add OAuth in just 5 lines of code without, again, touching your code base at all. And this is something that I personally love talking about. So I guess every single time I introduce traffic policy, you're just going to see me talking about OAuth, basic auth, custom response, and of course, rate limiting. So, oh, that's my cat, by the way. If you see him causing a ruckus, that is actually our guest for the day. So this
Very
guy
nice.
over here, if you see him causing havoc. So yeah,
Awesome. And
and
oh
we
yeah,
also have AI gateways.
AI gateway.
Yeah,
I think that's the perfect segue. I think
AI
Niji, you're
gateway.
ready to.
This is actually an action in the system. It turns your endpoint into an actual AI gateway effectively. Everyone should be able to see StreamYard right now.
I
There we go. Sweet. Infinite, we can see the infinite windows there. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my dev environment to show you my endpoint, and I'll show you a traffic policy. It's actually, if you're using the cloud endpoints, you can actually modify your traffic policy directly in the dashboard, so you don't even need to do it through the terminal. I'm currently using a cloud endpoint. This is effectively an endpoint that is running inside of ngrok for me, so I don't have to run anything on my machine. I don't have to host anything. It just exists. I've added the action here, and you can see the configuration is completely empty. In this mode, I'm acting as a pass-through. Um, I can show you some examples of non-pass-through later on, but right now it's going to take anything that I put inside of my code, effectively inside of my OpenAI client that I have configured here. So I have this folder set up effectively inside a code sandbox, which is just like a hosted like VS Code that lets me have like a terminal and run things. We used this recently for our workshop that we did with the whole company. So I'm just going to leverage it again. So I'm going to have to keep switching windows, but basically it's like a dev box. So inside of this dev box, I have the OpenAI client. I'm using JavaScript or TypeScript. We support Python. We support all the other languages as well. But effectively, if it's OpenAI compatible, it'll work. We also will support like Anthropic and Vercel, etc. So I'm using the OpenAI SDK. I'm going to be making a request. I have my base URL is currently set to foobar.dev, ngrok.dev. And then my OpenAI key is still in my system. It's in this env file. If I show it, it'll leak leak my key, so I'm not going to show it. But you can just trust me. It's set up as my env here, and I'll make a request in a second so you can see it actually functioning. And my package JSON is just TS node, so it'll just run this index.ts file here. I'm going to be passing GPT 4.1. We support other like the format is you could also do like author slash but it's not necessarily we already know which author is for a model, so you can just pass GPT 4.1 as you normally do, and things will still work. And I'm going to be using the thread format, like the message thread. I'm going to be sending a user message in a simple sentence to get back a sentence about a unicorn. And so I'll go ahead and run npm start. It'll take a few seconds here for the AI to think about it and give me back a response. And I get back, there you go. This is effectively how using the AI gateway works. It is transparent. It's kind of like using just OpenAI, but you get a lot of other benefits on top of it. Right now, I'm storing my key inside of my code base. I can move that into the actual gateway with like a list of providers. I can say like OpenAI is sorry, it's like name OpenAI is the only one that's allowed. And then inside of that, I can pass in a list of API keys that it should use. I obviously don't have a vault set up with the secret inside of it, but you can go into our vaults and secrets, use the API, and set up a value, and then that value would you would use Cell. So Cell is a language inside of a Golang. You can think of it as like a JavaScript like scripting language for Go. Inside of that, you have an access to like a interface called secret, and then you can get the secret, and then it's your vault name. So it would be your vault name and then your secret name. So if you decide to do that, you can go ahead and do that, and you can set up your keys to be encrypted inside of a vault as a secret, and you can pull them out using Cell. And so that's one way you can then increase your security of your AI usage. And you can lock down your AI gateway to only be allowed, like, so if other developers on your team or your organization want to use your AI interface, you can lock it down to OpenAI. Now, since the gateway is managing the secrets in this way, the other benefit to this is now that API key that you were originally passing, which was for the provider, can now be leveraged as an API key for the gateway. So that's another added benefit there. So now you can like say, create for right now, we plan to add this on in the future, but like for right now, you can create your own, like kind of think of it as like a basic auth or a bare auth, create your own tokens and do validation. We have like an HTTP request action, which will allow you to take that header and validate against your own systems. So if you have something set up locally, using like Okta or auth ID or anything like that, you can check those and validate those. it's just another added benefit, like another layer of security for your system. The other thing that you can do, and I can't show it off right now because it doesn't require me to like show API keys and all that kind of stuff just yet, is I can do some like in-flight. So we did a workshop, like I said, and I wrote up a bunch of stuff. One of the things that we had people try out and test was this find and replace. So like like we were saying earlier, you can build on top of ngrok's existing action base, because it's all API based. You can leverage those in addition to your AI gateway. So right now it's asking about unicorns. I'm going to go ahead and switch that to be Perry the Platypus. So it's from a cartoon. It gave me, a little short story about this cartoon, Platypus, which is a very cool cartoon. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Very fun. So I'm going to go ahead and run my command again. I'm going to go ahead and expand this. So it didn't work this time, and it's probably because I said unicorn. And did I put unicorns? There you go. So let's find just unicorn. Oh, I know why. So it's regular expression. So I remove the regex, right? So the question mark will make this as like, it can support S or not S. So let me go ahead and save it again. And now you'll see that it supports regular expressions. There you go. Perry the Platypus. Now it's a story about Perry the Platypus and his fedora donning to thwart Dr. Doofenshmirtz's latest outrage invention. Fun little cartoon, by the way. And then previously it was about unicorns, so that regular expression definitely changed and worked for us. So I think I'll pause it right there for right now. Maybe like start answering some questions that people may have.
Yeah, we can go back up and look at the questions. So with what you just showed of find and replace, I believe you were replacing on the request to the AI. If I'm not mistaken, you were replacing unicorns with your, and that's why you got such a different response back. What other what are the other use cases that you have heard of or you have like experimented with yourself with replacing those strings on the way out from your app to the AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is so we're doing request. Currently, you can do response as well. The APIs we're using is the we're using a specific chat interface. Sorry, I'm looking at a question in the chat. We're using the completions API, but we support all the others as well. We support streaming as well. We also support find and replace for streaming on both the request and response. So just kind of like help answer some of those questions that were asked earlier.
Nice. Do you want to should we pull that up, or we can hear Dan's got a question here about agentic AI and large enterprises. You got something there, Niji?
Yeah, so agentic AI effectively like I guess to ask more to get more details, like what about agentic AI are you looking to manage across your large enterprise? Like there's quite a bit inside of it. There's you know, there is locking down the permission sets that the agents have to do tasks inside of your enterprise, or being able to coordinate them and get back the responses and have observability for them. Like there's quite a bit of nuance there. I'd say like the AI gateway would be good for observability. Like I can go ahead and like share my screen again. Let's see. So as I'm making requests, I have this traffic inspector in here. And if anyone else tried to make a request, I can also see it. So I can see, all the requests that are being made, how long they took, if there was any errors, whether it was like an ngrok specific or whether it was the AI. and I can go in and get a breakdown. I'm not going to click one because I think it'll show the API key. So I just want to be a little safe there. But yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that, or I've discovered myself in doing these like live streams that it's usually good to just like rotate any key that you use anyways. Like just because it's like even if you just put it up for a flash of a second, like it's on YouTube, it's very easy to pause at that exact frame, and so you might
Yeah.
generally rotate your keys. I have that's helpful, but so
Yeah.
Dan did give us a bit of an update here on what he's looking for: permissions, guardrails, protection, responsible use. Like, do you see AI Gateway tackling those things?
Oh, absolutely. The permissions bit might be handled through like third party, like OPA, different providers, but I think the guardrails and protections. We're currently working with a few uh, companies. I think we had a blog post earlier about that was posted with that is one of them. Like we're working with a few companies to look at potential integrations because a lot of these companies already exist, but we also think the AI gateway itself should probably handle some subset of that feature set as well. So we're looking at like security guardrails, you know, injection attacks, poison attempts, things like that. Like we'll be looking at those things as well as we venture forward. Um, the other things is like whenever other things that we've heard that people are kind of interested in, we'd be open to exploring are like when things get into loops, how to exit and handle and manage those, and to be able to observe those because that quite often happens a lot with AI, where it cycles and just repeatedly does the exact same action over and over again. So that's some of the things that we'd also be wanting to look into. I saw that earlier somebody was asking about MCP. That is also like an avenue we'd be open to exploring as well.
Very cool. Yeah, just putting that up here on the screen. So yeah, and I mean like we can like I was going to talk about this later. Like if you go to ngrok.ai right now, there's a very beautiful page there. You can register for early access. I also am gonna like I guess I could put it up soon, but was like have a feedback form if you are interested in like doing more than early access. Niji, I know you're talking to like potential design partners, people who want to be like really engaged in like not just using it early and getting to play around, but like being like have influence on the shape of it and like the shape of the API, if you will. Like how does it work in traffic policy? Do you want to talk about that at all? Like what you're
Yeah,
looking for in a
absolutely.
design partner?
I'd say like I didn't show this off during this, and it's something that the gateway can do. It's just I don't have all the keys set up currently for it, but it does do load balancing. So something that we're actively looking at is failover support. So like going from one provider to another provider when like OpenAI is down. That is something we're actively like scaffolding out and diagramming and working through like the configuration of. Like we have it kind of it works, but we want to make sure the configuration is easy to understand, easy to implement, and easy for people to work with inside the gateway in two ways. So there is configuration that comes from your client. So like the OpenAI SDK allows you to pass additional parameters along, and some of this, for most people, they would probably want to be able to control some of the gateway functionality directly from their client. So like if they want to fail over to one model to another directly from the client, like the gateway by default has that ability. Or you can go into the gateway itself and forcibly configure how you want those failovers to work and happen. And exactly, we talked to a lot of people who are working on and implementing these features. Exactly, failing over from OpenAI to Azure. Um, it is a very common thing, and a lot of companies that we talk to talk about like it's on our roadmap, but we just don't have time to do it. Or um, we really love it if we could just have that out of the box. And so that's kind of the out of box experience that we're looking at. Um, I think we spent maybe 3 or 4 hours yesterday just diagramming all the various different ways we could do the configuration and like the ways that we could do the expressions to be able to do that. We have we do have two already set up in the system, which is like a model selection strategy and a key selection strategy. So like not only do people want to be able to fail over between providers, but we've also talked to a number of customers who also want to fail over between keys. So like they may have like 4 or 5 different keys. Some of them, and it might be user provided. So like some customers will have customers themselves that want to use their own keys for certain reasons, like healthcare or government, and so they may have 1 or 2 or 3 keys that they want to rotate between for that specific customer. And so like that's an example of like some of the things that we're looking at as well. It's like being able to understand the usage across those keys, being able to know when to fail over. Like if a key is approaching its quota, fail over to the next key, so that way you don't get a 429 first. So we have like the very basic version of that implemented. We're working on like fine tuning and improving that.
Very cool. One of the things that I found fascinating, like learning last week, was like failover is great for when you want to have, like, you want to guarantee that you're going to get a response back from some model, but also like the part of certain models are going to be best suited for certain types of things, whether that's for cost or just like the style of its responses. And so like, is that where, like, I hear a lot of people talking about like routing in AI gateway. So like talk about that a little bit. And like we had a question here from Monica, who I don't know if Monica's here, but like in our registration form about fine grained routing rules and like how does that work? How will that work in AI gateway? And like what are some of the reasons why someone wants to have like different paths for different models and so on?
Oh yeah, for that, that's a great question. That is a good kind of segue to just talk more about traffic policy, I guess, in general. The way traffic policy is built, I'm not sure. Yeah, there we go. Is by default, like you'll have these things called rules inside of each phase. So like on HTTP request here, that I'm going to highlight is a phase. On HTTP request body is a phase. We also have like other phases, but these are the two that I'm going to focus on right now. Inside of a phase, you have rules, and it's a list. It's a sequenced list. So each rule will run in order that is defined. And you have something in here that we call them conditions, but in the actual traffic policy, they're called expressions. And so these expressions allow you to write more of that cell that I was talking about earlier, that like scripting language, to give you power over routing and be able to fine grain and fine tune things. So you can only have one AI gateway action inside of your endpoint. But you can route to, like, you can do something that we call forward internal. So you can forward to multiple endpoints from a single endpoint. And so something that you could do is if you had 2 different gateways, you want to load balance and test them, or you want to like have one dedicated for Anthropic, one dedicated for OpenAI, and you wanted to decide based off of the body. You could do like request.body and then check the contents of that for certain values, or you could check like a header value like request.headers, and then like you have access to the full header, the full headers that your client sent over. So you can really fine tune this. You don't even need to use request variables. You can use the client IP. So you can use like the connection variables. And in addition to this, you also will have access to uh, variables that you can set yourself through what we call set vars. So like there's another one called set vars. And I think it's like it's called set vars, and then you have like a config, and then that config has you can set variables inside of here, and the variables that you set in there can then be reused throughout the rest of your document, and so that lets you create a more dynamic configuration. So on top of being able to, inside of this configuration here, define like model, I think we call it model selection, and then it has a strategy typing. You'll get a list of cell expressions that get run in sequence. And so like you'll start off with a full list of models that are being set. So you'll be able to define a list of models here that you want. And then inside of those, like an example would be like GPT 4.1, or let's do 4.5. And then you can say like which providers, and then you can say OpenAI or Azure. And then inside of here, as those models are populated into a list, so this will get expanded into like basically OpenAI GPT 4.5, right? So like I'll just shorthand real quick, and then Azure GPT 4.5. So it'll expand into this list of models, and which model gets chosen is dependent on two things. It's dependent on what your client is sending. If it's like an automatic routing process, we'll do our best depending on latency and things like that. Or if your client specifically says like, I want a specific one that is supported, which is I want OpenAI on OpenAI. I want OpenAI GPT-4 specifically on OpenAI. You can force it through the client, but by default, everything is kind of this like we'll do our best job auto routing for you. And you'll in here you'll have the ability to filter down those 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 models, and you can do like where x dot provider equals like Azure, for example. And now it will only like you'll only ever get models that go to Azure, even though you did specify that you would like OpenAI. You can control the routing and failover and selection strategy as much as you want. And inside of here, you'll be able to like look at latency, the number of requests overall that your account has made, and be able to do fine tune this to your specific needs. Hopefully that answers almost all the fine grained routing and questions around selection strategy and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the other thing that I know the AI gateway team is cooking on right now is like routing to not just the public APIs. Like, what is the approach there of being able to like, oh, I have Olama running somewhere, or I have this like custom model that I have self-hosted on some GPUs somewhere, and it's not sort of like in the like defined AI ecosystem.
Oh yeah. So you'll be able to define a list of providers that you want to be allowed on this gateway. And I showed before OpenAI, right? In addition to that, like if you have a custom local provider, whether it is I think external or not, you can define it as a custom provider, and you pass the URL for that. So right now, I'm going to just show you like an internal version. So like we have this thing called internal endpoints. You can use the agent to forward an external URL via an internal endpoint. And so you would basically go like olama.internal. So like this assumes that you've ran the ngrok HP, like 80 or 8,000, 3,000. And then you put like the URL here, right? And so like you're running Olama locally, and you're exposing it via ngrok, and you want to forward traffic to that locally. You can do so. It doesn't have to be Olama specifically. I'm using it as just an example. It just has to be an OpenAI compatible API, and we will support it out of the box. We're working on like supporting others, but this is like the first steps. And then once you do that, then you'll be able to forward traffic to it via your client. So you would go back to your client, and let's reload the window. Hopefully it doesn't show the env. It's okay if it does. I'll just delete the key. But inside of here, you just put your custom Olama or provider, I think is what I wrote. And now you can also then specify like a list of models that are supported underneath, or like, I think it's actually now like this, but you'll be able to do like, let's say it is DeepSeek is the one that you want, and it's providers is going to be custom provider. And so now inside of here, you just do DeepSeek, and you have access to your DeepSeek model, and really you didn't have to do too much to enable that feature. You didn't have to like go and set up a huge network and like figure out, you know, how everyone on your team is gonna get. Now everyone on your team who has that URL has access to this, whether it's running inside of your Kubernetes cluster or your local machine, or another cloud, or wherever it might live. You have access to it.
That's very cool. That's my first time seeing that like whole workflow work as well, which is very exciting. I'm 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 excited to start doing that myself and see what it feels like. Like I think we could talk AI Gateway probably for a while, and if there's any other questions, like Niji's here, happy to answer them. I was also thinking about the fact that I dropped a link to the traffic policy docs, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, you're part of one of your other teams is the docs team, and you all just shipped a brand new version of the docs, and I was like, maybe we should take a minute to celebrate that, and maybe you want to talk about like some of the improvements there or what the like thesis was behind it. There's some really cool like AI LLM centric features in there too that we could talk about. But yeah, like huge improvement across the board.
Oh yeah. We previously were on Docusaurus, which got us, you know, very far, and thanks so much to Docusaurus for getting us there. But we ended up finding ourselves in a place where we were fighting against the system more than working on the content. And when we wanted to go build out new features, we'd have to go and really dig deep into the code base to like make it happen. Uh, and for our team, which is kind of small, around 2 people, we decided like that was a little bit too much for what we need. We want to focus more on the content. And so yeah, we started looking at other options. We originally, I think we wrote this maybe 2 or 3 times, in different frameworks, and then we ultimately landed on a company called Mintlify. Shout out Mintlify. They've been super helpful in our transition over. I think it took like a week, but it's been pretty quick. The thing that we were looking at and things that we got out of this were, we wanted to change the layout. That was our first goal. Originally, everything used to be all in one sidebar, and that became chaotic, and people couldn't really find things in it. And like the expansions were too much, like it was too much nesting. And so we wanted to break it up and be more like product focused, where like you go in and you can specifically choose like traffic policy, and now everything you see is just traffic policy, which has helped a lot of people so far in feedback. That was our first goal. The second goal was we wanted a lot of the agentic features that docs are now coming out with, like LLMs.txt or copy as markdown or like MCP server. And now we have all of those without like having to go and implement it ourselves, and we can just focus on the content, which is like the last goal that we wanted out of this. Was like, we don't want to be burdened by like all the things that you have to, like all the Chrome around the content. We just want to focus on the content itself to be able to make that content as good as possible. So now we finally can like can do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like just having things broken up by product, I think is such a huge to not have that massive left-hand sidebar. And the docs team is going to be busy doing a bunch of AI gateway docs in the next couple months as early access rolls out and as people get to use it. So focusing on content will be very helpful in in their near-term future. And yeah, we're already starting to think about how we can like implement similar features where there's every docs page has a little drop down in the top right corner of the content that's like, view this as just a plain markdown file, and then you can just copy paste that into your chat window if it's like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and like build up your chat's context window with exactly that. And that really, like, especially when it comes to asking AIs to write traffic policy, that is hugely important. Like, just for them to understand the schema of it and like how, like, what the names of the things are, so it doesn't like make up its own thing. Super, super helpful. So hopefully people, yeah, play around with it and let us know, like, let any of us know in any way, that you can, to get in touch if you have feedback on the docs or anything else. The team's always happy to hear that. And we do have like a Tuesday session in like an hour and 15 minutes where it's probably half the company or more is in a product feedback session. And we talk about every single thing that someone brings to us or we discover out in the public internet about ngrok and how we can make ngrok better. So the Niji, you and the other product folks are like incredibly receptive to that stuff. So
Yep.
yeah, let
And
us
if
know.
anybody wants to reach out, Niji at ngrok.ai, you can reach out. I read out all my emails every day. So you'll be able to chat with me if you have some questions or thoughts. Feel free to reach out.
Nice.
Yeah,
You have
super
your
excited. Like it's been great. Just even in the early days of talking to potential prospects and early access individuals about their needs. Like really exciting. It always seems that like if it's not uh, the entirety of the gateway, at least one or two features definitely is something that they would have liked 3 months ago, or they're looking at actively like the next few months building out. And so I think we're like hitting the right sweet spot for this early access release.
Awesome. And aside from the email, that would be a great way to get in touch with you. I love that you have an ngrok.ai email as well. I also recommend if you're here and you want early access, you haven't signed up already, go to ngrok.ai, the website, do that. I've also got this tally form that, like, if you've watched this, you now know more about ngrok's AI gateway than anyone else, like aside from internal to ngrok. So if you have, like, you're in a great position, if you want to be a design partner, if you want to chat with Niji more about this, like, we also have this form if that works for you. And I'll pass anything along to Niji that we hear from that, and make sure you're connected in the right way. Yeah, I think the questions of, I feel like we've hopefully tackled everything. Again, like, if we haven't, let Niji know, let myself know. We'll make sure to keep the conversation going. But yeah, we can probably wrap here. We've got a bit of a break until the next office hours. As usual, we run these about once a month. So we'll be back November 19th, I believe, is the date. And we'll probably do something else AI centric. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a workshop. I don't know. Maybe we'll build with the AI gateway as it stands a month and change from now. We'll see. But yeah, if there's any suggestions or comments on what you'd be interested in doing at the next office hours, just let us know. Aishika,
Yeah,
anything else that you wanna tackle before we call it a day, or Niji?
I think I was just going to say thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and thanks to everyone who's been on the call, just listening about the AI Gateway. Super excited to be able to push this out soon.
Yeah, excited. Everyone is like, now that people are starting to see little bits of it, they're like, early access when? Like, when do I get it? And it's coming. And we'll let those folks know when the time is right. The golden ticket, I think I saw somebody say in the chat earlier. So
Yeah.
we'll get yours when the time is right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would just like to add that if you want to reach out to Joel or me, we are the unprivileged ones with the .com emails. So we would be joel@ngrok.com and aishika@ngrok.com. Maybe AI soon. Maybe we can pester Niji enough into budging and giving us .ai emails as well. But it's been lovely hosting you, Niji, and hearing more about all the amazing things that you're running and just showcasing how things are working under the hood. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this office hour session, and we'd love to see you at the next one. Signing off.
Later. Thanks, everybody.